let's get going. Episode number 2 of Wings Up Weekly. During these unique times, just a great chance to stay connected with everyone related to Tennessee Tech athletics. Of course, fans, alumni, supporters as well. It is the second episode of this video podcast, and it's the first time that we have had a coach join us. He is the head coach of the Tennessee Tech football team, Dwayne Alexander. Coach, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dylan. It's nice to see your face, or some of you guys I haven't seen, in a while. So it's awesome to actually see you. I'm used to you coming over to the office and, and us recording things and doing things. So it's awesome to see your face and your smile today. I'm excited to do this.
Excited as well. And we've got a lot of great stuff to get to, number of topics to cover and everything like that. But first, Coach, I do believe that congratulations are in order. Golden Wings Award, Coach of the Year. That's awesome.
Well, it's an honor, and it's just no different than any individual honors you get in a team sport. There's so many people involved in those. It takes a whole lot of people to excel and to do well, for individuals to be recognized. And so this is truly a, team recognition for our football team and the season that we were able to put together last year, and I jokingly always say I've hired very well, we've recruited very well, and I've married very well. I've done all those three things, and all those things help you, have some individual success. But this truly is a team honor. It really is. It's a team honor, an outstanding staff, really an outstanding group of young men, all of our support staff people, from our managers, trainers, filmers, it truly does take everybody to have a successful season. So, but I'm very appreciative of the fact that, there's so many excellent coaches just here at Tennessee Tech, so to be recognized amongst our coaches here at Tech, who I think so much and respect our coaches staff here at Tennessee Tech. I certainly am appreciative of it and very grateful for it and appreciative, like I said, of the recognition for our program.
So Monday, you learned of this honor Monday, along with Game of the Year as well, which went to football, the contest against Sanford. What I want to know, because it was released on t2sports.com, it was all over social media. How did you actually find out you won the award? Is it like tonight's NFL draft where you got some sort of a phone call or something?
I didn't think, my phone has a thing on it anytime something with Tennessee Tech, kind of dings, or goes off. And it started dinging a little more often than it usually does. And my wife actually sent me a text, just to say congratulations, proud of you. And I had no idea what she was, talking about. So that's kind of how I found out. I really found out through my wife, who found out through the social media release. I was actually here in the office doing a couple things whenever I found out.
So we'll talk a lot about Golden Wings Awards. Football won a number of honors, so I'm pumped to get the chance to talk with you. But how we want to start each of these video podcasts during these times of quarantine and social distancing is to get an update on the team. Last week, we had Director of Athletics Mark Wilson on. He gave us an update on how the Golden Eagle Athletic Department is doing as a whole. Now that we have you on, what can you tell us about how Tennessee Tech football is doing?
Well, first of all, the Tennessee Tech football program is stronger than ever. Things are going very well. This is a time, I know Mark alluded to this in his podcast that he did with you, last week. This is a time where you really find out, where your programs are really at, and the type of people that you truly have. And we have outstanding people here at Tennessee Tech. That's always been a strength of Tennessee Tech University as a whole, from professors to administrative people to facilities people. You go all the way down. We have great people here at Tennessee Tech, and that's really showing right now. Our academic staff with Levita Dexter, Kara Phillips, Virginia Lewis, you name it, Nancy Green. I mean, I can go on and on of people, professors, our people that care so much about our student athletes. They've really done a great job of taking care of these guys academically. The challenge has been as this thing has gone on, and I think no one knew when we first had to close things down, and halt things, how long this thing would last. And now that it's really continued on here for a number of weeks, I think our players, the social aspect of it, them being apart from each other, and them not having, places they can really go and interact, with other guys and other people on the team. But our staff has done a tremendous job. I have a tremendous staff, group of coaches that stay in touch with our guys daily. Coach Pugh, our leadership and character development coach and football operations coach, has done a great job with the leadership group of guys we have. We have 18 guys there that we've stayed in contact with. All of our players have been contacted. We've done, we've maximized everything that we possibly could, to try to stay in touch with our guys. And then we've had a group of players that have stayed in touch with each other. We have a leadership group of players. We have 9 teams of two-man teams that are captains of the team, and they've all taken other guys on the team under their wing. And so they're all reaching out, to their guys, just where it's players and players, staying in touch with each other. So we've done everything that we could, possibly do, in these times. But because of our academic people, because of our outstanding faculty that we have here, because we have coaches who truly, if we've always put relationships first, that's only hire coaches that want, that it's important for them to have relationships, with their players, and they care about trying to help these guys. So, all those things have been on display, and we're handling, and the program's doing very well, and we're handling this situation the very best we can. And we will be not ready. We'll be prepared when time comes, and we're going to be allowed to hopefully return, and no one knows when that's going to be. But when it does happen, our team will be prepared and ready to hit the ground running.
You just went through so many awesome things about how you're able to stay connected with the team, all the players and coaches. One of the very unique things about football is just the sheer size of the team. You think about all the players, all the coaches, so many different moving parts, but it sounds that despite having to keep track of so many people, you guys are doing a great job of staying connected.
Yeah, we've been able to do that. We have staff Zoom meetings, during the week where our staff gets together. The coaches get a daily report from our players on a daily basis of what they're doing academically, and also just what they're doing in general, off the field. Matt Hewitt, our strength coach, has been able to get a workout program that you could basically do in your garage or driveway, things you could do to stay in shape. Most of our guys have access to at least get outside, and jog, run, do something. So he's done a good job of connecting and getting things to our guys. But, we have daily check-ins with our coaches, and then we have daily, we have staff meetings, and then all the coaches report to me and give me information on our players. And then I work through Levita and Kara and all the different people in our academic department, of any issues that we're having. We have some ways to take care of that. Coach Harrell has been given the directive by Mark Wilson to call every coach every day, and to check on the staff and, hey, just how you doing? What's up, what's happening there? So I get a daily call from him just to check in. So, if anything's been positive, Dylan, I'm not so sure, even though it's through video. I think, when we're on campus, these guys have got so many things going, they've got, campus and class and things off campus, and we've been communicating probably more on a day in and day out basis sometimes than we do, when we're actually here face to face. So it's been a positive for us.
One of the things you brought up, the staff meetings, and I know actually just before you jumped on this podcast, you had a chance to talk to your staff through virtual meetings, I'm sure Zoom and things like that. How has that transition gone from meeting digitally and virtually as a staff?
It's gone fine. I've had to, Coach Williamson, Sam has been the only one I've had to kind of keep a thumb on. His video screen, his always seems to be right above my head, so he seems to be making some derogatory faces at times, so I've had to call him out on those just a few times. But they've really been good. All of our coaches have been, we can see each other's face. And, and I tell you, what an awesome thing. I know the first early on Zoom meetings we did, even as staff and with players, when somebody's head would pop in there and they start coming on board, everybody would start laughing, and smiling like, hey, it's good to see you, and same with us. I mean, our coaches, we do enjoy, being around each other. So, we miss the camaraderie and the, just being around each other on a daily basis. So it is good to kind of check in, not just football wise, and I try to keep those, not make them super long. They need to be direct to the point. We do, without getting into too much detail, we do an academic, review of what we're doing academically and kind of any issues that we have. I give them updates, from academics, from like Levita and Kara, as far as like registration, and then we talk about admissions of our, the group dynamic that's not been talked about, Dylan, is we got 25 new players coming in, freshmen that signed with us either in December or February. And so we're trying to get those guys transitioned, admitted into Tennessee Tech and through the NCAA Eligibility Center. And they have had their high school proms canceled. Their high school classes have been canceled. They're online, and they, don't go to school every day, so trying to, help all those guys transition. And then our players that finish their eligibility in the fall, Derek Moore and Shannon Fain and guys like that are trying to graduate, this spring. I don't forget about those guys. They're just because their eligibility's up, there's still hours. We want those guys to graduate, be successful. Andrew Goldsmith, all those guys, we check in, Seth Huner. I could go on and on. I got a list of guys that we check on, making sure that they have what they need in order to be able to succeed and to graduate this spring. So we've got players whose eligibility is up. We want them to graduate. We've got newcomers that are coming into our program to make sure that they're – and this has been a little extra I wouldn't say tough, but there's a lot of dynamics to it because of, can't get to that guidance counselor to get a transcript. My class is online. I don't know what that's going to look like. ACT test being canceled. SAT test being canceled. There's been I know it's kept Mandy Thatcher very busy, our compliance person, with all the changing things of it. The NCAA's come out with some different dynamics of that. There's a lot of questions right now, a lot more questions than answers. So trying to get all of these groups, addressed and kind of where we're heading and what we're doing, it's been a challenge. But, like I said, the good thing is we have, a lot of positive communication, been able to get that done, and the staff meeting. So I communicate any updates, with our staff as far as those type things are concerned. And then, we talk about recruiting. We do a lot of recruiting meetings on Zoom just to talk about, film review. We're not able to sit, for example, as an offensive staff or defensive staff and watch recruits together. As a staff, guys are having to watch those individually and then, share them with each other, trying to get together and, keep our recruiting going, spring recruiting. This is the time of year we're normally on the road, Dylan. We're normally out on the road right now, watching high school practices, watching spring practices, watching spring scrimmages, going to recruiting fairs, going to camps, that type of thing, is happening here over the next 2 months. And right now we've not had ability to do that. So just trying to stay in touch the best we can.
And a lot of stuff throughout what has now been 6 weeks of all of these changes, a little bit over 40 days. One of the interesting things about Tennessee Tech football, if you go back 6 weeks, 40 days or so, you guys had just begun spring practice. So what do you remember most about spring ball and when all of these changes just started?
Well, we were only 2 practices in. We were getting ready to have our 3rd practice, just a quick timeline there. We had an off season with our guys starting, in mid-January when school reported back. And we had done weight room Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We had done morning agilities in the old Memorial Gym, or in Tucker Stadium on Tuesday and Thursday mornings with the entire staff. We had done that all the way up till the week before spring break. We started spring ball that week. Our plan was to have a week of spring practice, 3 days of spring practice, go on spring break, and then come back and finish our other 12 days, including a spring game that we were going to have on, I think, April the 4th weekend is when we were going to have it. And obviously we practiced on a Monday morning before spring break. We had a Monday morning practice, a Wednesday morning practice. We had met Thursday as a staff and as a team, and we're all ready for a Friday practice. And then I was called to a head coaches meeting that Thursday afternoon. And we were, told what the decision was, as far as OVC and NCAA and et cetera. And so the next morning, instead of practicing Friday morning, we had a team meeting Friday morning. And excuse me. And we have a meeting Friday morning and basically tell our guys that you're going to be on a 2-week spring break, and we'll let you know what that's going to look like, when the spring break is over. And of course, little did we know that would be the last time, that we would be together and see a lot of those guys. So we'd had 2 spring practices is all we'd had. A lot of teams had not had any, so but I do know this. I was excited about what our guys had done in the off season, and I loved what I saw on the Monday and Wednesday practices. And I was looking forward to, progressing through the spring. We have a lot of talent coming back. We have a very young team coming back. We're excited about our team. We have some experience. We have some youth. We have, a lot of mixture of things. We have a lot of guys. Our team was genuinely excited, to get back on the field and start this 2020 season.
Well, we brought this up at the beginning of this digital podcast, and we'll circle back to it. I'm excited to get the chance to talk to you tonight. Tonight would have been the Golden Wings Awards, even though that's been canceled. everyone has seen on TTSports.com and other social medias, the announcement of the awards. Football has done a great job winning a number of these honors. You look at Metrius Fleming, male freshman of the year, Henry Karamu, newcomer of the year, yourself, coach of the year, the game against Sanford, that was the game of the year. And then most recently, Bailey Fisher, for what he did in that game against Sanford, he won performance of the year. So you got to be pretty excited about all of those honors.
Well, we are, and again, I think all of those just show a spotlight on the type of season, that we had as a team. We a lot of exciting moments, starting with that Sanford game, game of the year. I was involved in the Marty Jones Eastern Kentucky, game, comeback game, here when I was assistant with Watson Brown, where we came back, I think, down 19 or 20 points in the fourth quarter, something like that to beat EKU, who was ranked in the top 10 at the time. That night beat Eastern Kentucky, in a big fourth quarter comeback. Certainly was exciting. Again, that was a home game and, in front of our home crowd, and got a chance to do that. This one, was the Sanford game was key in a lot of reasons, for a lot of reasons, Dylan. The main thing, it was our first game of the year, and it gave a team that felt like we had improved and we were better, but it gave us a little validation that we were improved and we were better and that we can win football games if we'll just keep playing and stay together and do it as a team. And, and there were so many individual plays in that game that just if one of those plays hadn't occurred, we wouldn't have won the game. I look at Jack Warwick's tackle on the 1 foot line, or really the 1 yard line, that forced them to kick a field goal. That was a huge play. I mean, if they score a touchdown there, we're not in the game. Hadar's onside kick, the recovery by Darius Stafford on the onside kick, Justin Oden making 2 catches, a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Obviously Bailey Fisher's performance was noted in that game. And really Bailey had, to me, 2 or 3 games he could have had performance of the year. He had 2 or 3 games where he broke some individual records, in a game at Eastern Illinois. I think he broke the most touchdown in a game or touchdown passes in a game. But I look at just all the different plays, Henry Karamu with a sack, different turnovers that were in the game. I can go on and on. Andrew Goldsmith, I mean, his run in the second overtime where he makes 3 people miss and spins, and scores, not to mention the 2-point play, and just all the different individuals throughout the game. But, our games we were able to win and be successful in last year were team wins. They truly were team wins. It's where we had offense, defense, special teams all worked together and played together and made a difference in the game. And that was exciting to see, it certainly was. It was an awesome game, being the home opener, being at home, and being, I think, a program, a fan base, an alumni base, football team, coaches, everybody wants to see a win. We needed a win. We're coming off 1-10 and 1-10. And to start the season with a win, I think really carried us off to a 4-1 start, and put us in a position we've not been in a while, so it certainly was an exciting season, to see that. Henry, we had a lot of newcomers, but Henry Karamu was recognized as a newcomer of the year. But, we had some freshmen, Christian Cantrell and Cale Dava, were recognized, by some publications, as freshmen All-Americans. We've had the freshman of the year 2 years in a row, with Bailey Fisher and with Metrius Fleming, so that's exciting knowing that we're going to have those caliber players around in our program for another 2 and 3 years. That is exciting. So, you all of those things. Chris Tucker made the first team All OVC. What a tremendous season that he had. So it was exciting to see, all of those things occur and happen, and it's good for our program and our guys. I'm being honest. I've sat through 2 of the Golden Wings ceremonies since I've been here as the head coach. And I really feel for our guys. It's just when you're 1-10. And 1-10, and you go to an award show, you kind of know that you're probably not, there's not going to be a lot of recognition, even though we've had a Josh Poplar, recognized, and we've had some tremendous performances by all of our other sports. But, it is nice to go and see some of your guys, recognized for their hard work, and to see our program, at least get back up in there where, we want to be, throughout our whole athletic department and through the OVC. So, but the Golden Wings is an awesome thing. It was not around when I was here previously as an assistant with Coach Brown, and back, previous to that, some other stops I've been here. That's been an awesome event, an awesome thing that's been added. I mean, it's in my opinion, it's better than a large athletic banquet. It's, it's truly a special evening. Everybody dresses up. To me, it's awesome to see everybody dressed up. And then it's awesome to see the performances of some of the other sports. A lot of times we're playing when they're playing, or we're recruiting when they're playing. So we don't get a chance to see them, that much. I mean, baseball, I try to go when I can, but we're having spring practice, and same with the other coaches. When they want to come to a football game, they're usually hard at it doing, something else. So, to see that night and to see some of the awesome, performances of the other sports, I think it develops camaraderie amongst the athletic department. I love how we bring back people in the community and former Tennessee Tech athletes to present, some of the awards. And the whole program, but I think, at least doing the recognition through this, I think is awesome for the student athletes in the programs. Anytime you can recognize young people for doing good, we should always do it. Anytime you can recognize for positive, because, to get on the blotter of ESPN, it's usually negative, so to get positive recognition, anything we can do to recognize, young people for their academics and for their athletics, we should always do it.
Love hearing you talk about some of the honors your team won. I feel like we could do an entire podcast on that Sanford game. I mean, down 16 with inside 2 minutes to go, touchdown, 2-point conversion, onside kick, touchdown, 2-point conversion, overtime, win the game on a walk-off 2-point conversion, 59-58 in double overtime. What I would like to know, and I'd be interested, hopefully the fans are as well, is there anything you can tell us from that game, coaching, being down there on the sidelines, that maybe some of us wouldn't know, or something that jumps out to you kind of behind the scenes about that game?
Well, I think, first of all, was that our sideline, our guys really never felt they were out of the game, even though we'd got down, there a couple of points, and that we had some players, any program, when you look as your program turned the corner yet at all, sometimes you don't really know as a coach, where are we at? Certainly you need to face some adversity. Reveals your character. Everybody talks about it building your character. You've heard coaches say that. I think it really reveals your character. It really lets you know where you're at. Adversity, some tough times. So we got down in the game. There was some adversity, and we didn't have guys quit playing. And we've had some guys, a Bailey Fisher, who he was going to keep playing, and competing, and Andrew Goldsmith kept playing, and Derek Moore kept playing, and Chris Tucker kept playing, and these guys, come on, let's keep playing. Let's get back in this. We still have time. And, as they gradually then started making some plays to get back in the game, the excitement on the sideline, really, started to grow. Haydar Sedan, our outstanding kicker, had suffered a quad injury in that game. Toward the end of the game, he was when you score that many points, you're kicking off a lot, and he had he had hurt his pulled a muscle in his leg, and then we went into the first overtime, and he kicked the extra point, and I wasn't sure I wasn't sure he's going to be able to kick, anymore. We were not going to put the backup kicker. It's not fair to put a backup kicker in second overtime. And we'd already made a decision. I talked to Trey Lamb, who at the time was our offensive coordinator. I said, we're going for 2 next time. Have your 2-point play ready. We score. We're going for 2. We're not going to kick the extra point. We're going to try to end the game right now. And if you notice on the game cast, I'd already taken my headsets off. I didn't even have my headsets on because I knew it was going to be the last play of the game regardless. I mean, there was no need to have a headset on. I just want to know what we were calling. We were in the huddle. We'd really we had to go back to work as a staff. We used about every 2-point play I think we had in that game because we had to use them earlier in the game. All of our red zone plays, 2-point plays, that type of thing. We had a really good plan. 2-minute wise, our offensive staff had done a great job of, studying Sanford, how they played 2-minute defense. We actually had them on film of what they like to do during 2 minutes. And we were in 2 minute, pretty much the last 5 minutes of the game trying to get back in the game. But we were able to get back in the game, had a good plan for that. A lot of guys made plays. But we had made a decision to go for 2 in the second overtime regardless because of Haydar's injury, number one. But the other thing was just felt like we had a good 2-point play, felt like they knew what they were going to do, that we had a good one, and we felt like, hey, let's just go, let's go win the game, and we were able to do that. So it was, and, if you really watch the film, that play has a double option there. David come wide open, Day kissed, but also Austin Hicks was dragging out the back end, and he was wide open as well. So we would have had but the excitement, the other thing, too, I tell you, just seeing the Patrick Pope on the sideline, quarterback here in the 1980s, with the end zone celebration. Dr. Oldham, the commissioner of the OVC, Kelly Averitt, a former player here, just some of our teammates that played here. My brother was in the end zone. I had to pretty much pull his sideline pass for the rest of the year. He about beat David Gist and broke the pass up in the end zone, and luckily he didn't get flagged or anything or reprimanded by the conference, but it was really an awesome thing, and so, and we had some other games during the season, that were awesome as well. I remember without going too long here, but our win at Western Illinois was special for our team because of it really showed some toughness and mental toughness of our team. I saw some growth in our team in the Sanford game of how they hung in there and didn't quit. And I also saw growth at Western Illinois because, we talked to our team before we got on the bus to go to the game. Guys, there's thunderstorms in the forecast. We could go there and go in and out 2 or 3 times of the locker room. We may get there and have to stay in the locker room for a couple of hours. We may be there all night, but we're not going to leave until we win this game. And every time we go back out, we're going to take the field. If we play for 5 minutes, we're going to win that 5 minutes. If we got to go back in and come out, and our guys did that. I mean, they really were prepared to do that when we went. You could hear them in the locker room. There wasn't a lot of horseplay, that kind of stuff. They were ready to go back out. They were excited. I think that last time we went out, outside the television crew and the down marker guys and the officials, there wasn't many people left, there. We were pretty much just playing for the love of the game. But the energy on the sideline for that, how our guys, man, played their tail off. And that's an 8.5-hour bus ride after we'd already been to Eastern Illinois and come back and turn around and go back. We'd been road warriors there, and to go and win that game, like we did. And just the locker room celebration after it was over, and our guys, how they felt in the locker room after that game. They really felt like they'd done something special. They'd gone on the road, and beat a Missouri Valley Conference team. And the adversity they had to go through to win the game. That was a very memorable moment for me, as a coach, is how our guys handled themselves during the weather delays during that game and how they played.
Fired up just thinking about that. I remember calling that game. Obviously, the Sanford game, it was just so extraordinarily awesome. We'll be talking about that for a long time. You certainly have me wanting to run through a wall right now, Coach, so I appreciate that. Let's go a little bit away from the gridiron for a second. In these times of social distancing, when you do have some free time on your hands, what have been some of the things you're doing? I don't know if you had the chance to catch the Last Dance documentary about Michael Jordan and the Bulls on Sunday.
Oh, well, I certainly, I had people in my age group, our guys in our 50s here, in our age group, I tell my kids, I watched Michael Jordan play, in college, he was at North Carolina when I was here at Tennessee Tech, he was playing college basketball. So I watched Magic Johnson play in college and in the NBA. I watched Larry Bird play in college in the NBA, watched Michael Jordan play in college in the NBA. Remember when Kobe Bryant was a kid in high school that I used to show video on, and that LeBron James the same way. So it went a unique thing to where I've actually seen these guys play, watched them play in their prime, when was their prime and when they played. And, Michael Jordan from Space Jam, I've got a Space Jam jersey, I have an original pair of Jordans. And I didn't realize, I started looking on eBay the other night, what those things are worth. Are you kidding me? It's kind of exciting toward the retirement deal. I'm going to hang on those, a little bit for a little bit. They were out in 1985, 84, the original red and black ones, and so, but the whole thing, the Be Like Mike, and I saw an interesting stat the other day, that basketball, just sports people that watch the NBA during that time, there's been a 50% decline in viewership of the NBA since Michael Jordan has quit playing, and that time of the Larry and the Celtics and Magic Johnson and the Lakers and the bad boys, the Detroit Pistons with Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer and all those guys, and Michael Jordan was coming up and through when all those things were going on. And then just the mystique of the Bulls, they were truly rock stars. And also, they may touch on it, some of these other ones coming up, but that Olympic team in 92 in Barcelona, that group of guys, Michael Jordan was there's a really awesome thing on the documentary of that. I encourage people to watch of that Olympic team and how, when you have Larry Bird and Magic Johnson say that Michael Jordan was the greatest ever, that says a lot to me, because those guys can be, they have egos and, were competitors, and they talk about him of how competitor he was. He was the best player on that team that had, I forget how many Hall of Famers, Karl Malone, John Stockton, that whole group that was on that Olympic team, So, but it was awesome, kind of brought back a lot of things. It's awesome to watch that. I saw Tiger Woods when he was in high school, and won the U.S. Amateur. I remember watching that live when he won the U.S. Amateur at 16 years old. I remember watching the Masters live when he won it in 1997. I remember watching Jack Nicklaus in his prime, whenever he won the U.S. Open, the PGA, and then won the Masters in 1986, So when people start wanting to compare, who's the greatest, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods are the two greatest competitors, in golf. I can pick one over the other. They both are tremendous. My biggest thing, I'll make my statement on Michael Jordan, and there might be a few people chime in, and I'll say this. There's how I've always felt. There's some talented athletes. I thought Kobe Bryant was very competitive. I thought Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, one thing that would put Michael Jordan a little ahead is that Michael Jordan played for Dean Smith for 3 years. He played college basketball for 3 years. LeBron James and Kobe Bryant came out of high school and went right into the NBA. And I think for a while it took them to kind of find their way of really what type of teammate to be. And later to be Dean Smith. I mean, who could have played for a better coach than Dean Smith? Michael Jordan had that. If you look at Michael Jordan's eye contact and his relationship with Phil Jackson as coach, I thought that was tremendous. He was a coachable guy. He understood a team concept of everything, and I think, not saying the other guys didn't, but if you get the point that I'm making, he had some opportunity, I think, to develop as a, off the court a little bit, that these other guys were kind of thrown in the mix and didn't really have a chance to. But I always say, if you lock Michael Jordan in the gym with anybody else, he would stay till he beat you. And if you look at this documentary, that's what really stands out, and shows is what just a tremendous competitor he was. If you played checkers, if you played whatever, he was going to try to stay until he won a game. He wouldn't quit till he won. And I don't know, not everybody has that. Not everybody's kind of built that way. I felt like he was. But I've enjoyed watching that. That has been good. I've enjoyed, I watched the Masters final round, Tiger Woods, the replay of that. And I already knew that he won, but I'm still getting excited and jumping up down, when he made a putt. I've done that. I've spent a lot of time, obviously, been quarantined some with my kids. My daughter's in from college. She normally would be back in college. So that's been awesome, to have her, have her home and have her family. Usually it's Christmas, when we're all there together all at one time, so to kind of have everybody there, has been good. It's been positive. And as I was sharing with you before we came on here to do this, is that my 27-year marriage to my wife actually survived a homemade haircut that my wife gave me with Coach Hatfield's Clippers last night. I was looking like the diners, drive-in, and dives guy. Prior to this, I was going to spike my hair up and look like Guy Fieri a little bit before our podcast here. But, until you've had your wife give you a haircut, you haven't really tested your marriage. But we made it. There was some tension, but it all went well. So it's kind of back to, I feel a lot better today.
All right. It's great stuff. Looking sharp. Your basketball knowledge. We'll have to do another one of these where we could just talk about basketball and golf.
Just sports fan. I'm a huge sports fan. Always have been, followed it closely. And the NFL when I was a kid, I can remember back, I just used to follow the box scores and follow, used to get I'm a newspaper guy, and they quit making the newspaper just about, but I would check the box score, the newspaper, every day to see who. They always would put the top 10 batting averages in there during Major League Baseball season, the top people in home runs. I'd always want to see Bob Horner of the Braves and where he was at, in the home run chase, the batting averages, and where those were at. I always knew off the top of my head who the Rod Carew, and all those guys, who the top batting average people were, who was the top in home runs, RBIs. I kept up with that. Just a huge sports fan. I love, and that's one of the awesome things about my job here at Tennessee Tech, man. I get to go to basketball games. I love going to see Kim and her team, her girls play, Coach Pelfrey and his guys play. I love going over to baseball and catch a game. I just love sports. I love, I've coached girls softball back in the day for 7 years. I've coached girls basketball. I've coached wrestling. I've coached when I was early on as a high school coach. I coached everything that I could coach. I coached 7 years and taught before I was married, so I coached everything. I loved it. I was a huge sports fan, so I have great respect, for all the other sports, and so I love watching them. I love young people, watching them compete, and a big fan of all sports. So yeah, we'll have to do one of those one day. We'll go back in the day and look at some of the previous teams of the 70s and 80s and 90s and talk about them a little bit.
Great stuff, Coach. We'll leave with this just last topic and last thing. Hearing from you, knowing you well, and even if you follow your social media, you're a positive, upbeat person, always kind of a glass half full kind of a person. During these unique times, what would you say to Golden Eagle fans and supporters going forward, and maybe some of the things that you've learned throughout the last 6 weeks?
Well, I think, for me, I don't mind, sharing. I'm always willing to share my faith anytime, given the opportunity, and I'm a faith-based person. And, I believe things do happen. I am a firm believer that things do occur and happen, for a reason. And there's purpose in all of them. There's purpose in all the positive things that happen to us. There's purpose in things that happen that are adverse, and that, we're to learn from those. One of my favorite quotes of scripture is just talking about perseverance, and we're to be thankful for all things that happen to us. And that's not easy. Is it easy to be grateful or thankful for a pandemic, or, some type of thing that's done this to us? It's not a natural thing to do that. I'm not sitting here saying I'm thankful for it, but I do know this. It's given me a chance to really, to reflect, and to grow in some ways. I think any adverse thing that happens to us, we have to find a way during it to pull out something positive. What can I do? What can I do to just sit here and go, woe is me? And, that's not the attitude to take. What can we do to help? What can we do to help others? Look to service others, do for others, to help others. My wife and I have been walking 2.5 miles every day. We're up to 2.5 miles. We have walked every day for the last 17 days straight. We've missed one day for rain. That's something my wife and I have not sat and exercised or walked together, I don't know, in years, since back before we had all the kids that we have. But just things like that, and that's something I will continue to do. I mean, life is not too busy to take an hour out and walk with my wife. Even when football season cranks back up, I'm going to find time, to do those type of things, to take care of myself, a little bit, to not get caught in the grind, of it daily. But, I think, realizing that life is fragile, how just grateful I am to have the job that I have, and appreciative that I have what I have, to have my family, count our blessings. I think get up every day and write down what you're grateful for. Look at all the positives, and instead of looking at at the other side of it. And that would be my biggest thing, is read daily about how to stay positive, and to think positively. Because, boy, you turn on that television now, and there's every emotion, from anger to what's going on to, there's all negativity, you name it is on there. There's certain information you got to get, but, don't get caught up. Understand and know what you got to do and where it's at, but, look at a way to do your part, to make sure that we're keeping others in mind with our own personal actions. And I've wanted all of our players to know just how appreciative we are to coach them, and that we don't ever want to take that for granted. I can't wait to get our team back together, our staff back together. There will be a point in time all of those things are going to happen. We just don't know when they are. But in the meantime, let's make sure let's try to positively fill our days with things that are good.
Coach, awesome perspective. Appreciate hearing that as we wrap up here on Wings Weekly, and overall, just appreciate you coming on board for this video podcast. Thank you, Coach. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dylan. I look forward to us sitting down and visiting again in person, and for all the Golden Eagles out there, hey, we love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support, and we can't wait to get back out. I know our football team, one last note, Dylan, we were really excited about the football season, because we were hoping to really get a lot of people in our community that were affected by a tornado way before we had this, a few weeks before we had this virus, that hit. And I think our community needs a packed Tucker Stadium here at some point, to get all of our fans, people out, to get together as a group, and to all pull together. And we want to try to bring a little bright spot, to everybody. And so in football, I think is one thing that can do that. It's got a big venue, and we certainly we don't take lightly getting the chance to represent our community and our university, and we just look forward to getting the chance to do that again.
All right, Coach, we'll catch up with you soon, I'm sure, and stay safe out there. All right, we'll get a wings up as we close out.